All right, guys, welcome back to Boots Come in Pairs. Again, we have another guest, someone who's actually qualified to talk about baseball because he has way more plate appearances than we do. Ryan Noda for your Oakland Athletics. First base, Grant High School kid. We've known him since Lake Villa baseball. I played with his brother. His dad was my coach. So a lot of fun memories there and just seeing him grow up. But then also watching him go through the minors. So just very cool to have the opportunity to talk to someone who's played Major League Baseball.
Yeah, how you guys
Yeah.
doing? How you guys doing?
That's
Oh, great, great. Now that we're talking to you, my friend, it's like Brandon was saying, just to kind of add to it. I mean, we've known each other for a long time. We've known your family for a long time. You come from a great place. Lake County has a special place in all of our hearts. We grew up there. We played ball there. I was fortunate enough to get to coach you for 4 years at the high school level, which was an absolute pleasure. Brandon got to play with you for a summer when Grant Legion first started up. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's just lots of cool history there, and it's just been amazing to watch you on this journey. And again, we're so fortunate to have you on, and we appreciate your time and talking with us about things that we all love, which is baseball. Kind of getting into it right away. Just want to talk about so you're growing up as a kid. How you're a multi-sport athlete. You've had multiple loves when it comes to sports in your life. What in particular about baseball? Like, what made you fall in love with baseball? Because you're a big basketball guy. You love football. You love the Chicago Bears, and basketball was something that was in high school a path for you. But baseball is something that's always kind of been there and been around. Like, how did you fall in love with baseball, and what made you end up going in this direction?
I think it would definitely be how hard the game is. Like, not saying that all the other games aren't hard, don't get me wrong, but in basketball, I can go to the gym and put up 500 shots a day and simulate games all the time, playing pickup and get really good. But, I wasn't tall. So I was like, okay, like I'm tall enough, but not to play at the professional level. And I'm like, well, I'm fast, but I'm not fast enough to play at the professional level. And I was like, it's fun, but like, it's not hard enough. And then that was the same when it came to all the other sports I played, ice hockey, the soccer. I played football for 1 year. We don't count those like in sixth grade. We had a cheat code. We had TJ Edwards on our team and Andrew
Oh,
Spencer. And yeah, so uh, to
yeah.
say we won by less than 21 touchdowns would be a lie,
yeah.
basically. So, but baseball was always the one that I could never master and feel like I could just know everything. And I thought that was so interesting. And I wanted to pursue something that was very challenging to reach the top.
Because I remember we were in the outfield doing some stuff in that Legion season. I was like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? You're like, well, I kind of like basketball. I think I want to go that direction. I was like, I'm cool. Like, but your dad from day one's like, he's got it. Like he'd pull us aside Lakeville baseball when you were in your Pinto days. Even before that, I was with Drew and Bronco, and he's like, Drew's fine. Drew's an all-star. He goes, but watch my other kid. My other kid's where the goods are at. But so when you're playing, legit. But your dad would sit in the outfield. He'd watch you from the perch. But like when you're like, oh, I think I want to do basketball. I'm like, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But it's nice to see you in this lane for sure.
Yeah, I think there were two paths for me to get to an elite level, and it was either baseball or ice hockey.
Hmm.
And when I stopped playing ice hockey going into my freshman year, that's when I was like, all right, all the cards are going into just training for baseball
Mhm.
because it was just so hard to do both. Like, I would have missed so much school playing hockey. I would have missed all the open gyms, all the time to just try to grind on the swing and the fielding and, the training of, getting in shape for the baseball part. But um, I think I loved hockey the most when I was younger,
Mhm.
but I knew that baseball, there was something about it that like I could do something with it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And, you know, I guess my dad said it when I was younger, but I've always believed since I probably was like 5 or 6 that I could play at the professional level at whatever I wanted to do. And it just happened to be baseball, and
For
now
sure.
I'm just fully just in love with the game. And like I said, how hard it is, but how just the whole community of the baseball life is always going to intertwine. Like I've met so many people that I've either played against or one of my buddies have played against, and we've heard our names through our buddies, and then it's just like a huge family of just everywhere in the country. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the best parts about being in this sport as well.
That's super cool. I mean, and yeah, just thinking about the coaches that you've been around, the people that you've met, the players. Like I've seen some pictures and some text messages and friends, and just seeing the people that you're around. It's just got to be surreal for you, even being peers with these people now, because you are peers, because you're in the same profession. I mean, just it's wild. But like getting back to what you were talking about a couple seconds ago about the grind, like that's the thing about baseball. I mean, any professional sport, but baseball in particular, like you're always making adjustments, you're always grinding. I've listened to some podcasts and some interviews that you've done, whether it was in off season or just before the season started, about just the amount of sacrifice you had to make during your like high school career and during your college career, the things that you had to miss, the fun that you didn't get to take part in because you were so focused on that. I mean, can you speak to that a little bit? Because I think that's a part of you that not a lot of people know about. I mean, being your coach at one point, like we knew you put in the work, but like I had no idea that like when you weren't in season with us, like just the amount of sacrifices that you were making. So just go into that a little bit.
Yeah, and we all know where we come from and the area we come from, and I would say that it's probably one of the harder areas in, I would say, our county to get out and get exposed and be able to, be seen. It's a little bit different now with all the videos and Instagrams and all the social media platforms that you can just post stuff on. But when we were all growing up, it was just so hard. And I just knew that, like, okay, like I'm going to have to miss going to some birthday parties, going to some graduation parties, because I want to get out and I want to be like, I wouldn't say an inspiration, but I want to show people that like if you put the work in, no matter where you come from, like you can do something that like you dream about. But it's not easy. Like it wasn't fun waking up for 5 o'clock in the morning lifts and going and lifting before school. But I wanted to do it because I wanted to grow. I wanted to be better. I wanted to be the best in not even just our area, but like I just wanted to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is what drove me the most. And granted, we're all competitors and stuff like that. And if you know me, I'm one that I probably hate losing more than I like to win.
Yes.
Like I expect to win. So when I lose, it is worse.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big kind of follower and like you get what you put into kind of attitude. So basically like if you're not going to work, like you're not going to get the results you really want. Like everyone wants to just go and be, let's say, Shohei Ohtani right now. Because I would say that he is by far a unicorn in the baseball game.
Absolutely.
But no one has seen, especially in America, what he has gone through over in Japan to get to the point we are at now. Everyone just sees like, oh, this guy is just a freak. This guy is unbelievable. Like he can't be real, but like realistically, like he started somewhere. And so like that's kind of a mindset I had. Like he wanted to pitch and hit. Like kudos to him having the ability to also do both. But I think there's just a mindset you have to have in order to, miss birthday parties, miss graduations, and then going into the college atmosphere, like miss going out sometimes. Like, yeah, it's good to have fun. You're in college, but at the same time, like I didn't go to college to go to school and to have parties. I went to college to play baseball and get an education through baseball. So if I'm not working at what got me to school, then what the heck am I there for?
I think the Midwest thing too is so true, because you're right. It's not Florida. We're not a hotbed for baseball players.
No.
We're basketball, because you're indoor half the year, but we're taking half our practices in the spring in a gym floor.
Yeah.
Like we're not seeing the grass until probably the first game of the year. Or we're not putting I remember like there were so many years where we're not putting our cleats on. I have new cleats for the season. They haven't even touched my feet. They haven't touched dirt because we haven't been outside. And it's like, that's the reality for people in the Midwest. So the grind is almost twofold, because you got to stay motivated and you got to stay focused on what you're doing as well. So I think that just adds into it. And I think that showed well for the path you've taken through the minors, because that's the other grind of this too. It's one thing to get there and get drafted. It's another thing to get to the majors, especially the route you've taken. And I think that's kind of what we want to speak to most here, because like I think it's a testament to you. You've been through more than just baseball with this thing. There's been so many layers to it. So we'll kind of go into that, because you go to Cincinnati. You got drafted as a junior, right?
Yep.
So 3 years Cincinnati. You go to the rookie ball, do really well there. And then you go to the Midwest League, and that's kind of your first full season. Also the most games you probably ever played in your life, right, professionally?
At that point in time, 100%.
Yeah. So that's a different grind too, because all of a sudden you're going from like, oh, I can put it together for 30, 40 games, right? But then there's a different level when you're starting there. Also, very slow starter. I will say, the first time we talked to your dad was in Beloit, and he's like, man, this kid, I think you were hitting like 180. But you're drawing walks, and to your credit, I think I remember you saying it was like, they're not throwing strikes, so I'm not going to swing at them. But you're taking your walks, you're getting on base, but your dad was just like a nervous wreck. He's like, you don't want to flop. You don't want to flop out in low A, but like you really kind of did take your time getting it going, but eventually kind of hit your stride, hitting 250 with, homers and RBIs, but 109 walks. I think that was kind of your MO through that season. How was that first taste of kind of like professional experience for you?
The first taste was, I think I played 66 games in Bluefield, West Virginia.
You smashed it, dude.
Yeah.
You smashed it.
And it was just kind of, well, it was kind of funny to me, because I faced more than a handful of guys in that league that I faced in college. And they were all like, dude, like what? Like you're good, but like we've never seen this.
No.
And I was just like, honestly, like in college, I loved my teammates. I loved, the guys that grinded with me every single day, but I could not be myself in college. I couldn't, be the super competitor, the, like get everyone going type of guy, because our leader just didn't let me do that. And that might be the first time I've ever said that.
You know what, though? That's not the first time I've heard that about systems, where it's like high school, you're part of that system. College, you're part of that system.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
College basketball is a big one, where systems kind of hold players back. Like, that's the big one.
Yeah. But and we were talking with Nick Gunther last week, and he was talking about how minor league baseball is such an individual thing. A lot of these guys are having fun because it's themselves. But at this point, you're right. You're your own guy, and you make it. You make or break it. It's not the team's success. It's really your success.
Yeah, and I think, like, just going off his point, I think it depends on where you are as well. I think I was just lucky. When I got to pro ball, I got with a group of guys that, of course you're for yourself. You want to do good, like especially when you're young and first, getting drafted or getting signed out of the Dominican, the Puerto Rican, I think we even had a couple guys from Panama or whatever. But I created a good bond with about 5 players, and then it just kept growing, but we kept playing with each other for the first 3 years.
Yeah.
And we weren't, like, after 30 games, we weren't even just playing for ourselves. We were playing to have fun and to win and to, like, bring everybody, to another level, and just kind of having self-competitions with each other. And I think that's what took a little bit longer to do in, low A. Granted, it was a little chilly to start the year. I think our first game was. I think our first game was 28 degrees in the upper part of, or the lower part of Michigan, but the top of that part. But I think getting comfortable with that group of guys that we had kind of sparked me to, okay, like I can actually be myself again. And then I was like, you know what? Like, I just got to be myself no matter what. And that kind of just kept progressing through the year. And then, you know, I think I finished hitting like 254 with like 20 and a lot of walks. But I think the first month I had 32 walks because I was either walking or walking back to the dugout. So it was either one or the other. But that was actually one of the best lessons in kind of, see, I don't usually say like failures because usually you just learn from the stuff that you don't succeed at first. And so I think that was a lesson that I needed because it showed that no matter how bad I can get, I won't stop until I get back to being, you know, who I am and like what I can do. Because I know I can hit and I know I can field and I know I can be a top 50 player in whatever league I'm in. It's just, you know, knowing that and figuring that out was huge. And then after that, it was like, all right, now as soon as I put the work in, I just go on the field and like just be the best competitor I can be and just out-compete everybody.
Yeah. And it seems like speaking to that team, and I was at quite a few of your games that year, whether you guys were in Grand Rapids or in Lansing, and it was really such a special group of guys. I mean, you and Chavez Young and Casey Clemens and Kevin Acuna and all those fellas. I mean, it was very easy to tell that you guys were all rooting for each other and cheering for each other, and it's like. You get to this point, like Brandon was kind of saying, like in minor league baseball, like it's kind of like you're trying to get to that next level, so you're focusing on your performance. But when you're winning and you're having fun with a group of guys, your play gets elevated. And like as that summer got going, like it was not uncommon for you and Xavi to be on base like 3 or 4 times a game, each of you. I mean, driving in runs, like the pitch and that league, like there were a lot of your guys who started getting plucked up to the next level as well. So you're kind of having to deal with that too, but you still just keep the winning going and you keep the good vibes going. And Lansing in the summer is Michigan in the summer is super beautiful. But yeah, I mean, it just was cool to see you kind of like heating up and playing your game with these other guys who are doing the same, and you genuinely were all like rooting for each other and wanting each other to do well, and it really just attributed to the overall success of the team and you guys as individuals.
Yeah, and I think even going after that year, going to high A, we had the same core group. We just added a few players here and there, and so it was just easy to just, you know, hit the ground running again. It's like, hey guys, it's the same thing as last year. We're facing half the guys we faced last year. Like, nothing different. We're just in Florida and it's 110 degrees. It's just, that's the only difference.
Yes.
And
doing it again, another slow start. But I remember, because again, I'm watching box scores because they're not really broadcasting these games. And then you had that walk-off grand slam, and that was kind of the release point. And then you were kind of able to get going. So not a high average for you, but you had the same mentality going. You weren't hitting 170, right? It was just, it's been a slow progression, but I think that's kind of what keeps you in these at bats and these just game after game is your approach has always been consistent. Whether you go, I made a note for later, but I'll bring it up now. You had a good lesson, and I like the failure thing because it's so true with baseball. There's so much failure, and even on the highs, you get the highest of highs. The next day you can come back and it'll be low lows. You had the Cincinnati series. You went 3 for 4 one game. The next game you went 0 for 5 with 4 Ks. I don't know if there's a worse feeling, but then you got to come back tomorrow and do it again. And you just went 3 for 4 and probably hit a homer. And it's like, how do you cope with that? But you have to learn that that's part of it. And you're going to take your lumps and you're going to take your strikeouts, but you're also going to take your walks and you're going to get your homers and you're going to do that stuff too, which is that's the fun stuff. That's what you wait for. But the 0 for 4s are not fun with 4 strikeouts.
But I'm still learning as well, like learning how to deal with it better. because, like I said, like losing is not it. It's just in my DNA. It doesn't work for me. Like I just try to figure other ways to, okay, if this didn't work, what's another way to work, and keep going like that. And throughout my career, I've always had a couple guys in my corner, and who I've always gone to and just talked to. And I think it first started last season. Well, 2022 season. When I really kind of was like, you know what, like I need to start, because we had more older guys in our team in Oklahoma City, and guys that have played in the league, guys that have played up and down the league, guys that have played in Japan, Korea. They've been all around the world. They've been all around the country. They've seen everything. And one of my guys was Andy Burns, who was with the Blue Jays when I first got drafted. And then he debuted. He had, I think, a few at-bats, never got a knock. Not knocking you, Andy, if you're ever going to hear this. But he goes to Korea, has a great career over there, helps his family set up for their future, then comes back, and I see him in OKC, and we're teammates. And he was one of our leaders, but he was also a guy that I would always go to, and a lot of the young guys would go to and just talk to him and just pick his brain. But also I would go to him to be like, hey man, this is, how do I deal with this? How do I deal with that? And he would literally, and I loved going to him because he would shoot you straight. Even if you didn't want to hear it, he would shoot it to you straight. And that really got me going. And then I also had Kevin Pillar and Jake Lamb and Dylan Betanzas, like guys that have been around the block that I could also go to and just talk to and learn from and see what they do. Like, even if I wasn't talking to them, I was just watching how they took their failures, how they took their successes, how they went about their business, how they lifted, how they hit, how they fielded, and just et cetera. And just kind of observed from a distance and then asked questions when I needed to. And I think that's the biggest thing, especially for younger guys, to not think that you know everything. And you have to really just sit back in this game and observe and, just see, all right, who is this guy? Oh, that's Kevin Pillar. That guy's, he's been pretty good for his career.
Yeah.
And he came from a very small college, Dominguez Hills in LA.
Yeah.
And he has worked his tail off to get to where he's at. And the way he goes about his business is why he is where he's at, and why he can keep being on teams that are playing for World Series, because he's not only a good player, he's a good dude, and he's a good person to go to for some young guys on teams. And I just think that once I learned that, then I was like, okay, now I've kind of opened up a box that I've never opened up before, which is actually getting some help with people that I'm around more than I'm around my family. And so I think that was probably huge.
And that was one of the names, actually, because I saw that he was on the roster for OKC, and I was like, first off, he should probably be in the MLB. That's fine. Dodgers just kind of stack him up. But, that was exactly kind of what I was not hoping, but I was, imagining that that's someone who you'd want to pick their brains. Tony Wolters was on that team, too, the catcher. I mean, just you have guys with major league experience, and that's where you want to get. I remember Zach McKinstry was on that team, too. And he was on fire.
That's my guy right there.
That's your guy?
Yeah.
He was on fire at AAA, hitting 350-something. Go up to L.A., couldn't hit. Send him back down, hitting 400. Set him up, couldn't hit it. And it's just what do you, he's probably going through a whirlwind. Goes to Chicago, can't hit. Now he's in Detroit, getting an opportunity.
Yeah.
And he's playing better. But
he played well.
James Altman was another guy just getting blocked. But before we get too much into OKC, I want to
go on and on with that roster.
Right, yeah. I want to get into the COVID year. We were talking with Nick last week about this too, and just especially in the minor league level, you just got done with your high A season. You're supposed to probably make the next jump, and then you're getting slapped with no season. What's going through your head with that?
Just figure a way to work.
Yeah.
And luckily that I had some friends that were in Nashville area where my agency's at. And we have a training facility out here. It's actually where I'm at right now. And I was here for, I think it was like 8 to 9 months. I was training and valeting at the Gaylord Opry.
Oh, wow.
And so my roommate, who was the quarterback at Cincinnati for a little bit when we were there, Hayden Moore, and his wife, Amanda, we all stayed together in a nice house about 40 minutes from where I worked out at, but it was perfect. It was right on the water. It was beautiful. Couldn't ask for anything better. And Hayden and I were both valeting at the Gaylord Opry.
Because
while we weren't training.
minor league baseball players get paid really well. So people don't know.
Yeah.
You didn't need that job. You just wanted to valet.
Yeah, you wanted to valet for people.
I definitely wanted to valet for 8 hours of the day, every day. But no, and it was actually kind of cool because some days I would work from like 11 to 9, and then some days I'd be 9 to 5. And so I'd have to figure out like what my schedule was every week. And then that depended on when I went into my facility. So if I worked at like 9, I would get to my facility at like 5, work out, drive all the way 40 minutes again, back to valet the whole day, come back. And then depending on my roommate Hayden's schedule, I would go run routes for him because he was the backup quarterback in the CFL at this time.
That's awesome.
And Ryan,
it was kind of fun because
you'd be a pretty tall receiver, just so you know. Football players are not that tall, so you could have done that. But
yeah,
it was fun because it was like a way to get my running in, but also help him out.
Yeah, and
it gave me way more respect for the football quarterback position than I've ever had. I've always respected him. I thought it was the hardest thing to do in football. But it kind of got me thinking more of like, damn, like you actually you throw the ball hard as hell too. Like the first day, it was probably like 45 degrees outside, and I didn't have any gloves on. I was just out there, just sweatshirt, sweatpants, just running routes. And after like the first 10 minutes, I'm over here catching these balls, and I'm like, yo, my hands are hurting. And I'm like, dang. So the next day, before I did, I went and got gloves at Played Against Sports. Just some old gloves. Started catching these passes, like, okay, this is so much better. I'm like, now I know why these people wear gloves, because they hum that football.
Yeah, and it's not just for warmth either. I mean, you get a little bit of stick to there, but D1 quarterback, for sure, your hands got to be. I mean, imagine guys catching passes from like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and Lamar Jackson and all these guys, Patrick Mahomes, like every day. I mean, you look back at like remember Torrey Holt for the Rams, and you look at his fingers and they're all like jacked up because he just catching rifle passes from Kurt Warner for his whole career. It's crazy stuff. But I mean, all this stuff, Ryan, like getting back, you're still grinding. You're still grinding. You're still getting your work in. You're doing what you have to do to get through it. I remember we were in the same pool on 4th of July weekend. We're just talking about stuff. I remember asking you during that season how things are going, and you're like, man, I'm just working out and I'm getting ready. Like you were never, there was never a tone of being unsure about what the next move was. Like you were just going to do that. That's what you were going to do. Might get to enjoy a little bit of time relaxing, but it's back to work right away and preparing. And I mean, it's just kudos to you for being, and all minor league baseball players for being able to get through that time. Cause it was really a time of uncertainty. There was a whole restructuring and cutting of minor league teams, and there was a lot of an uncertain future about minor league baseball in general. But I mean, you're one of those people who I got to grind. I got to keep working on my craft, and the next opportunity is going to come, and I'm going to be ready for it.
And it was actually, I think, the first time in my life where I had more than like, I'd say 3 to 4 months to train and get ready without having a season.
Yeah.
And because in college, you're going before freshman year, you're playing summer ball. And then you have like a 3-week span of when you're just kind of relaxing, getting ready to go to college. You have all fall, all winter, just training. You play your season, and then you have like 2 weeks, and then or 3 weeks, and then you go back to playing summer ball, and then you have 2 weeks after that, and then you go back to school and do it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
And then minor leagues, kind of same thing. And so it's like, it was the first time I kind of it's the first time I stayed in one place for, I think, more than 6 months.
Yeah.
In the last 7 years, I believe.
Well, it's not going to change anytime soon, but
No.
and little did you know that you were on your way out for Ross Stripling. So you get that news that you're the player to be named later. Because honestly, I thought you were going to be a Blue Jay. At some point, you were going to be debuting for the Blue
Me
legit.
too.
It just kind of seemed that way because you're going up the ranks, right? So you get traded to LA, you go to Tulsa. Are you mad about that? Are you just moving on? You just ready for the next opportunity?
It was actually kind of a funny story. So it was my first invite to big league spring training.
Mm-hmm.
So, all the COVID restrictions and all that stuff. But so me and my roommate, we show up about 5 days early because we got to show up 5 days early, get our COVID test, sit there and do absolutely nothing for like 4 days. Finally got in the facility, was in the facility for 2 days. After our second day, we were there. We were just hitting BP. We were done by like 11. And my roommate was like, "Hey, you want to meet us at the course at 12? We're playing Copperhead." And I'm like, "Oh, sure."
Yeah.
Like, Valspar Open just finished a week ago. The course is going to be beautiful. It's going to be hard. And so I show up. We play. I didn't get any tee. I played kind of rough. I didn't play very well. And I didn't have my phone the whole time because I'm playing with David Phillips and Kirby Yates. And
okay.
And my roommate at the time,
Pitchers
Nick
are better
Allgaier.
golfers, though.
Yeah.
They were good. And so we get back to the car, and I didn't check my phone the whole round because we were just talking, just having fun on the course.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at my phone and I got like 14 missed calls. And if you know me, like, I hate talking on the phone. Like, I just don't like it. And I was like, "Who's calling me?" I look and it's our farm director. And I was like, "Oh, I'll give him a call back." And I just thought, because he also was like transitioning moving into the big league side to help with the big league side. And so it was like, oh, like, he's just going to, like, a schedule change tomorrow. Like, call them back. And I was like, yeah, like, schedule change tomorrow. He goes, actually,
Life change.
just want to let you know all this kind of stuff. And he's like, you were traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers, and you were the final piece of the Ross Stripling trade. And I'm just sitting here, and everyone else is talking by the cars, and I'm on the phone, and I just have this, like, Kirby Yates was like, "You just had this look on your face that I knew something was different." And I was like, "All right." Like, and they're like, "Well, they're going to give you a call in the next hour or so just be ready for a call." And I hung up, and I looked at the guys, and I was like, "Well, we were teammates for very short."
Yeah.
And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "I just got traded to the Dodgers." And the first thing they both said was like, "That's a great org. Like, you'll love that org." And then I was like, "Okay." And then I called my agent. And I was like, "Hey, like, I just got the news that I was traded to the Dodgers." Like, and they go, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah.
And then I was like, I had to hang up because the Dodgers called. So I was just on the phone with them for a little bit, called my agent back, and he was like, "You're going to love it there. They will help you get to where you want to get to."
Mm-hmm.
And so when I heard that, I was like, all right, now I'm excited. Like, I want to get there as soon as I can.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how that kind of was unfolded. I was literally enjoying a nice round of golf after getting all my work in the morning. And then all of a sudden I had to pack my whole car back up and ship it out to Arizona and fly all the way to Arizona, sit in the hotel for 5 more days while they all practice because of this COVID crap. And then finally got to get on the field, played a couple games, but it absolutely changed my career.
I would say so, because you wasted 0 time in Tulsa. Actually, your first pitch in Tulsa was a home run. Like first pitch in over
fastball up and away.
in over 2
field,
years.
homer.
Like I mean, you didn't play the year before, and the first pitch you see in a season, you blast. What are you doing there? Like you gotta be on cloud 9. I mean, just it.
It kind of just broke me into the team right away, which was probably the best case scenario I could have ever had. I've played against half the guys that were on my team in low A and in college. Like I knew a decent amount of them, just of name, not really knew them. And now some of them are like some of my best friends.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of like kicked it off. And that team was awesome.
That looked like the most fun you had because, like, again, you get little clips here and there, and you were hitting a lot of home runs. So you were getting a lot of clips that year. You had 29, but like
most of your career.
I mean,
like
the least amount of games, I think.
Least amount of games, most home. I mean, it was just every night there was something else you were doing, and it looked like you were having a good time there. It looked like something clicked, so that makes sense, honestly. Like changing organizations, and if you have that motivation, you know they're going to help you get there. That's awesome because it looked like it when you're on the field. But the catch is when you play for a team like the Dodgers, and even the Blue Jays at a certain point, first base. I can say it. Ryan can see it. First base is your natural position. You look comfortable over there. There's really no path for you to play Major League Baseball. Behind Vladdy Jr. or the $300 million man Freddie Freeman. So what's your thought with, yes, they're going to help you, but like, what's the realistic possibility I'm going to play for these organizations?
You know, it was wise words from Tim Raines when I was with the Blue Jays. And it was about, I think we had 6 of us and we were doing some outfield drills. But before the drill started, we were all just sitting there and like, I think we signed a couple guys and he just kind of brought us together and he was like, what's your guys' goal? Just randomly. And everyone's like, to play for the Blue Jays. And he was like, no. Your goal is to play in the big leagues. It doesn't matter for who.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, holy cow, he's right. Like, we're playing for everybody.
32 other teams, yeah.
Yeah.
And so once he told me that, and then I got traded, I was like, all right, if I get traded once, I definitely could get traded again. So, like, of course, like, wherever I'm at, I want to be in the big leagues there. When I was with the Blue Jays, love the org, love the people in the org, all great people. I wanted to be a Blue Jay. Got traded to the Dodgers. All right, thanks, Blue Jays. You gave up on me. Now I'm going to hurt you when I play you. Got to the Dodgers. All right, I want to be a Dodger. All right. That all goes down. Rule 5 last year. Now I'm like, all right, I can't wait to play the Blue Jays and the Dodgers.
Yes.
I got to say, Ryan, we did not run the stats on his numbers versus the Blue Jays and Dodgers, but we probably should have. Next time.
Yes, that would have been a good one.
But, hey, I mean, it's all about the opportunity. I got to tell you, I learned more about the Rule of 5 draft knowing you got it. Like, because, again, you don't really know. You see, like, Josh Hamilton was a Rule of 5 guy. I think Mark Canha was a Rule of 5 guy. But, like, you don't really know what it means.
There's a lot of Rule 5 guys that you don't know about.
That's true.
Yeah.
But it's you think that's like, oh, there's something wrong with these guys. It's like, no, it actually gives you the opportunity to not be trapped. And for a team like Oakland who needs players and needs guys, opportunity strikes. And as you said, big league baseball is big league baseball.
It is.
I don't care where you're at. And by being with Oakland, you've kind of solidified that, hey, you're a big league baseball player and you got free reign to kind of do it. And that's absolutely awesome. So we love the Rule 5 picks now because, like, once you know about them. But so we can skip a little bit then to, unless you got anything on minor leagues, right?
No, I mean, just again, doing it at every single level and finally getting your opportunity. I mean, how sweet that must have felt. I guess leading into the next stage. So like, you get selected by someone. Somebody selected you. You were chosen, number 2 overall, I believe, in the Rule 5 draft. Your new organization is Oakland. Very historic baseball organization, lots of great players, lots of legends, lots of great coaching. They've won World Series titles. They have all the accolades, but kind of a team like on the up and up. Like when you started or when you got selected by them, I guess, like what are like your main thought is like probably, wow, I made it, but like what other thoughts are going through your head? Like I mean, were you like made aware that you were going to get Rule 5'd, or how did that whole process go?
There was some interest from a few teams for the Rule 5. Didn't know who. Agent didn't know who. Just word was getting around. Name was thrown around a little bit. And so when the Rule 5 draft happened, I was just hitting. I was like, I don't want to watch it. Like, I don't. Like, if it happens, it happens. Like, it's whatever. I'm just going to do what I usually do at this time of the day. Because it's at 5 o'clock. We're out.
Yeah.
I was in Cincinnati at the time. And so it was 5 o'clock. I'm like, I was teaching kids. I was helping teach some kids out there. And at 6, so I just go out early at 5 to go hit. And I was hitting at 5. And I was in one of the tunnels I'd never usually hit in before. And all of a sudden, like, I'm done hitting. I look, and it's like 5:15. I was just done with some tee work. And I was like, well, guess nothing happened. It's 5:15. This thing usually lasts like maybe 10 minutes. And then I kind of like put my phone down, took a couple more swings, and I was like, I should call Grace, my girlfriend, to see like, hey, I haven't heard any word. And I look at my phone, and I had no service. It was SOS. And I was like, oh. So I just walked outside the building, and my phone wouldn't stop vibrating. And actually, my phone froze, so I had to turn it off and then turn it back on. And then the first thing I saw was Cincinnati Baseball reposted the Rule 5 draft and my pick, and I was like, holy cow, I am an A. I was like, and it was actually like super, super joyful for me because where they picked me and the position that the team is in, how young we are, I knew that I had a chance to help.
And a chance to play. And a legitimate chance to make a
exactly
team play.
and to play. And so it was great. But the only thing I ever regret was putting so much pressure on myself from spring training.
That, again, you never want to critique it, but I had some people ask me how you were doing. And I'm like, because the thing is, it's like if you're not on the major league roster, you get sent back.
You go back.
Yeah, you go back to OKC, and then you're back there. So they're like, "How's he doing?" I'm like, "Not
terrible,
good. Not great. I don't know."
Terrible.
Like, yeah, it sounds like you know, but like it didn't seem like if it was based on just your performance in spring training, you probably wouldn't have made the team. But I think since they had
100%.
They had a little more invested in you because you were a high pick. But they took you anyway. They took the shot, which I'm sure they're happy with now. But like, yeah, you answered my question. You kind of knew that it wasn't going well in spring training.
Oh yeah, I think it's the first time I've ever put like pressure on myself because I've always been the one where it's like people like, "There's what do you mean? That's pressure." I'm like, "There's no pressure." I'm like, "There's never pressure." I'm like, "It's fun." And then it was my first time I went to a spring training and actually felt like, holy cow, like I could literally just break camp and be in the big leagues day one.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I got to show them everything. I got to do this, this, and this. And the first game was good.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think I went like 0 for 25, I think at one point. And I was just sitting here like, oh my goodness.
It was not good.
I'm like, I'm like, I don't stress out ever. And I'm like, I'm stressing out right now. I'm like, oh, what is crazy? And then towards the end of spring, when they start like, they made their final cuts that we knew of until we traveled to Oakland and did the little early Bay series, one game Oakland, one game San Francisco before the season.
You did get an at bat versus Ross Stripling in that Bay series. I do remember that.
Oh, I actually got, I think I
got a good hit
2 hits off them.
Yeah.
I was 3 for 5 in that game in San Francisco.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
That was your entire batting average for the spring. Was that 3
Yeah.
hits?
3 hits. I think I matched my whole Arizona spring hitting.
Yes.
But
in one game.
Hey, to be fair, you have more hits in the spring training than I do, so I have
Yes.
nothing to critique there. Just noticing the facts.
Yeah, well, if we add them all together, then 100%. But if we just put last year, it's very, very close.
We're close, yeah. But yeah, so you get
that game actually was huge.
Yeah.
Because it literally was like, I don't know what it is, but like, I love the baseball field aspect of things, and I've always kind of cherished being like, oh, I can play here, I can play here. But once I stepped on the field, it felt normal. Like, it didn't feel any different. Nothing felt. There was no change in the way baseball was seen in my eyes. Like, it didn't matter what the name on the back of your jersey was, what team you played for. If you had a ball and you stood on the rubber, like, I didn't care who you are. And that game helped me see that even more, because there was like 30,000 people in the stands.
Well, you're playing in San Francisco. You're playing at a place where they play World Series. Like, you know that's cool, right? Like, you know how cool that is.
Yeah.
Minor league stadiums are one thing. Spring training stadiums are one thing, but like that was probably the first time you're stepping on a big league field in a big league game, even though it's still spring training. There's that many people there, and it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And the fact that you can minimize it to like, it's still a game. It's still 90 feet to first. It's still 60 feet. Like, that's true. Those are all true. But there's a difference when you're stepping on that dirt.
Yeah, and against big league pitching too. Yeah. Like, again, a guy who you were traded for, who's a big league pitcher, who's pitched multiple seasons in Major League Baseball, been in the NL West, which is no slouch of a division. To do that against him, I mean, unreal, man, unreal.
And like, I respect everybody in the game of baseball, especially the household names, because they are a special talent. But I believe that if you're at the level, I would say the same level, and you're playing in the same field, I don't see them as any different than myself.
They're not.
And I feel like you have to be like that. Because, like, they're human beings. I'm like, we're not playing against robots. Maybe there's a few robots on the field, but that's
we don't know of yet.
It's funny because like everyone's like, yo, you were just talking to so and so and so and so, and I'm just sitting there, I'm like, yeah, like I it's so sick, but like at the same time, I'm like, I feel as equal as them as
it's really
as
cool.
Anything.
But if you sit there and you're starstruck, you're not going to perform well. You're going to be back in
exactly.
AAA. So that's part of the motivation too. Is like, hey, I can sit here and be like, wow, this guy's awesome. You might have a couple guys in the game where you're like, hey, I watched you play when I was younger. You're still in.
Oh, 100%.
Cool. But at the same time, you're a competitor, right? I'm competing. I want to beat you. I don't really care if we're in last place or first place, but I want to beat you, and you're my competitor for the day. And I'm glad you're on first base, but I wish you would have got out. So
100%. And it's like, we have future Hall of Famers still pitching, and I faced a few of them, and I would say like, yo, you guys are very good, don't get me wrong, but if I go into the batter's box and be like, yo, this is so and so, holy cow, I lost. I lost. And it's kind of like, I always kind of have to think of like a Mike Tyson mindset of like, if you think of somebody as being bigger than you, and you have him just kind of, you look at him and you're already defeated by oh my gosh, this is so-and-so and so-and-so, like, holy shoot, I've been watching him for 10 years. Like, how are you going to let someone affect what you've been working for your whole life by just a name?
I mean, it's gotta be that like another day at the office feeling. Like, that's how you have to treat it. It's like, this is my job. I worked hard to get here. I put in the time. You worked hard. You worked hard to get here. It's your place of work as well. So it's like we're just workers, and we're performing, and we're doing what we love to do. And you can't put people up there when you're in the same line of work. You just can't do it.
No. And the only time I go, oh yeah, well, like if I strike out and like say it's DeGrom on the mound, I come back in and just put my bat down, and I'm just like, well, that guy's pretty good.
Yeah.
I will say,
next time,
one of the few times where you looked overmatched was Jacob DeGrom. But we all know, like, we can all see, like, you belong in that batter's box, but he makes a lot of people look very silly.
And, and that's the best part. And that's the best part about having some of the guys we had in the clubhouse last year. And Tony Kemp was the best to be that guy.
Yeah.
Because I would come in and I'd be mad. Like, I didn't care. I'd be like, man, I should have hit that. I can hit this. Blah, blah, blah. And he would always, like, if I'm saying something and I'm just like, and he just goes, Noda, come here. Look at this pitch. And I look at it and I'm like, once I look at it, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a good pitch. I said, but I'm going to get him next time.
Yeah.
And I just think, like, you have to respect all of them, all the guys that have already made a name for themselves, because they have worked hard to get to where they're at too. But at the same time, like, they're going to show you respect by how you play the game and how you step in the batter's box and how your presence in the batter's box is and how you take your at-bats. And I just feel like, yeah, you can get me, but once I get you, I know I can get you. And now my brain knows I can get you, and now it's time to go.
Yeah. Well, I like what you said there, and like, you can appreciate, like we were just talking about not that long ago about your teammates in the minor leagues and stuff like that. And like, I appreciate you like bringing up the fact that Tony kind of, I mean, you're frustrated, and like, Tony's not an old guy. Tony's probably my age. So not that much older, but has been playing for, he's been playing for a while. Yeah. I am baseball old. I'm getting old in general, but like, he's been with successful organizations. He's been around the game. He's come off the bench. He's played multiple positions.
He's a first-round draft pick. He's a good talent.
He's a higher draft pick. He came from a great baseball program in Vanderbilt. But like, the fact that he can just like kind of get you one-on-one and kind of encourage you, like, that just like speaks to, and I'm sure there's a lot more like good guys in baseball than people realize, but like, you're really like, you do care about your teammates and you care about other people. I mean, speak to him. Like, what kind of guy is Tony Kemp? I mean, he seems like an awesome dude, super nice. He signs for everybody. Just seems like a great guy.
Oh yeah. We had a bunch of great people in the clubhouse last year. We had Tony Kemp, Jace Peterson, Seth Brown, Paul Blackburn, Alemus Diaz, Jesus Aguilar. Like, I can just keep going. We had a bunch of guys in the clubhouse, especially, I just named a lot of the veteran guys that were just great teammates, but also just great human beings. And, you know, my two guys I usually go to were Jace Peterson and Tony Kemp. But Tony was always the guy that would make you kind of sit there and appreciate something that you have done. Every milestone, like first AB, struck out, but I come back in and Tony's like, welcome to the big leagues. Like, you've had your first at bat in the big leagues. And I'm just like, you know what? You're right. Like, I'm pissed. I got out, but you're right. First hit, first double, first triple, even though we found out like a day later because they changed it. But and then first grand slam and a bunch of other stuff. I'd come into the dugout and Tony would just walk over to me and he'd be like, "You just hit your first grand slam." And I'm just like, "Dang, you're right." And he'd be like, "You just got your first RBI. You just did this. You just did this." And he would always just be like, just make sure you cherish these moments because you only get one rookie season. And so, like, he would always remind me, like, because I'm always just try to be so locked in and not relish the moments.
Yeah.
Except for the first hit. The first hit, I was relishing all of that.
Yeah.
I was,
give me the ball.
give me the ball. I throw that thing in there. Like, hurry up. But after that, it was just like, all right, now it's go time. Like, I don't care about anything else. Just want to win. And he would always bring me back and kind of bring me down and be like, yo, like, cherish this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then luckily this year he reached his 400th career game.
Mm-hmm.
And so he always came up to me and relished me, and I went up to him and I'm like, yo, you just played your 400th game in the big leagues.
Mm-hmm.
I said, that's sick.
It is.
And he looked at me, he goes, you're right. That's pretty cool. And like, it was just cool because like he's been doing it to me all year.
Yeah.
And I think we had like 40 games left at this point, maybe more, maybe a little bit more. And I got to do it back to him. And I'm like,
yeah,
it's so funny. Like, it's just, but that was one thing that like I thought was awesome. And he doesn't even do it just to be like, hey, I'm the one that did it. He does it because he knows how hard the game is.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows what it takes to get to the big leagues. And then again, how hard it is to perform.
Mm-hmm.
That's perspective because, yeah, he has been with so many organizations. And this, this might be his last shot to do something with somebody. He doesn't know when his last day is. When someone doesn't want him to play baseball anymore. You get told that you can't play baseball anymore. And I think of a guy, do you remember Drew Magi from this year? He was the guy for Pittsburgh. He's 34 now.
Mm-hmm.
He finally got his shot in the big leagues. He had 6 at-bats.
Oh, yeah,
he got
yeah.
a hit. But he's not
catcher, right?
He's a
utility guy.
Yeah, utility.
Mainly.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
it is. But yeah, he got 6 at bats. He spent 12 years in the minor leagues for 6 at bats. So he's right. I mean, cherish every single milestone you get. Cherish every at bat, even when you strike out. Like that's true. Like it's tough in the moment, but that's awesome. That's great. You could have guys like that, and I think that's good on Oakland for signing guys like that, especially to help the young players. If they're going to go young, okay, get some veterans in there that can kind of teach you to play the game.
And it just goes off like, and Jace Peterson was the guy I always went to when when I needed to be calmed down or needed to like have some advice of like, yo, man, like, how the heck do you do this? Like, I'm dying over here. We've lost 12 straight. Like, how do I handle this?
Yeah.
And then he'd just be like, just keep going. Keep going, keep your head down, keep working. And then I would just kind of follow what he would be doing. And so we would always be the first ones into the dugout, always be the first ones out before the game, like all this type of stuff. And so like, I'm like, okay, like he's going to pass it down to me. I'm going to try to pass it down to somebody else. And hopefully that train can keep going because that's a guy that you want in your clubhouse. He plays anywhere you want him to play. He plays 110% all the time, and he is a baseball player. And he's a freak athlete.
Yeah.
Who did he got
traded? And he's respected. Right? He got traded to Arizona. So big moment for him was Tommy Pham's 4 for 4 in a World Series game. And he gives up a chance to make history in the World Series going 5 for 5 to give Jace Peterson his at bat. Because that guy's worked his tail off, and he said, this guy has been grinding with me for years, and we don't know if he's going to get a shot to do this again. So he went to Torrey, and he said, give Jace my at bat because I believe in him, and he deserves this, and we're going to get this done. So yeah, I mean, so much respect.
I was watching. He gets up to the plate. I'm videoing this thing. I was like, come on, come on, because he's a guy like. You just always want to see succeed. And it's because it's not just how good he is, it's just how good of a human being he is and how he treats everybody with respect. As long as you respect the game and respect how to work, he's going to treat you with respect. And just have some feel. That's the main, the main
Absolutely.
Yep. Would you say, because I noticed in your game specifically, just it kind of elevated when you got to the big league. Like you were running the bases harder, you were running them smarter, you were sliding different, you were more aggressive. Even just the way you were training at first base. What do you think the difference is between? I'm sure it's the coaching too, but like the training you were getting at the AAA level to the major leagues. Is it just that much better? Is it just that much more focused?
The difference between the big leagues and everywhere else is here. And
because you looked like you got significantly better throughout the course of the year, and it was probably just being around those guys. And
it wasn't even that. It was just figuring out, all right. And this is from Tony and Jace as well. Like this is something they talked to me about early. And it was basically like, I'm like, yo, guys, like, it's like a month into the season, and I'm like kind of feeling a little tired. And they looked at me and they're like, it's not your body. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, the game up here is mentally exhausting first. And I was like, what? And they're like, just think. In the minor leagues, you could take a few pitches off when you're in the field. You get a guy coming up to the plate when it's an 8-9 hole guy sometimes, and depending on what team you're at, all right, this guy has no chance against this arm. So you can just kind of chill, relax. In the big leagues, there ain't no guy that comes up to the plate where you can ever take off. Granted, I never took off in the minor leagues because I was just always, I'm like, I'm always ready. But like, it's just different. You are 150% locked in at all times.
Yeah.
In the dugout, on the field, on the bases, because every little mistake that is up here could cost you here.
Yep.
And that's just with playoffs. And you miss the playoffs by one game, and you can go back and look and be like, oh my gosh, I wasn't locked in at this moment and we lost. And so when they told me that, I was like, holy cow, I am going to be fully locked in 1,000% of the time. And that was draining for the first time.
Yeah.
I got used to it towards the end, kind of mentally wise, but that's when my body started breaking down. So now I know, though, of how to go through the season and like, okay, like this is what I need to do to get ready. This is what I need to do mentally. This is what I need to do physically. And then I go out and perform. This is what I need to do to recover.
Yeah.
Because you're right. You're going along. Actually, I thought you were playing probably your best baseball, and then maybe you took a playoff in batting practice when the ground ball's coming, get popped in the jaw.
Yeah.
They didn't show that. They talked about it, and I thought I missed something in the game, so I went back. I'm like, did he get hit in the jaw in the first inning? And then Dallas Braden was talking about how you got hit in batting practice, fielding practice, whatever. I felt like that slowed your momentum to the rest of your season because you were hot when that happened.
It was the first time in the big leagues where my swing clicked.
Yeah. Well, but on top of that, I took a mental note because I saw it. You did a no stride home run. You know you did that. Like, was that intentional? Were you trying something new, or was that like I can't see?
I hit probably, I think 4 of the 16 homers last year were no stride.
Okay.
And
it was a bomb, and I'm like, you didn't even take a step. Like, you can you out there, right? Like, why don't you do that? No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Like, there's a method to it, but like,
it's something I do. So it's either I do it when it's hard for me to see the guy.
Okay.
So I widen out, and then I can see everybody. Doesn't matter who you are, I'll see you.
Yeah.
And my brain works is like, if I see it, doesn't matter what, if it's in the zone, I'm going to smash it. And so I just simplify everything. And so that day, my mouth was hurting because I was playing with a broken jaw.
Yep.
And I'm facing freaking, what was it, Jaquez or whatever. I don't know how to say his last name. But the sidearmish lefty from the Boston Red Sox. And I faced him 2.5 weeks before that.
Tanner Houck?
No. It was a reliever. They were doing a bullpen game.
Oh.
I love
good
bullpen
pitcher.
games. Those are my favorite.
No, hate him. Good. So and he's like throwing from second base, and I'm up here. I'm like, I see the first pitch, but I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm a little tardy, so I'm just gonna widen out. So I just widened out, Next pitch, saw it perfectly. Fouled it off, and I'm like, all right, 0-2, now we're going to battle. I think you threw me like a heater away ball.
You called your Ryan Noda patented timeout, though, at 2 strikes.
I did. And then, threw the heater away ball, and then I'm like, why did he throw that? I'm like, whatever. I'm just going to stick to my plan, sitting here. And then he just left me he hung a breaking ball.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just did a little like sway back, and there was the first time where the ball just started growing while it came to the plate. And then I took a swing, and I was like, well, that's not coming back.
No.
And I was like, perfect. And then next at bat, I get in there, and I just started feeling good. And I was like, wow, this is like the second game in a row where after my first AB, I started feeling good. I'm like, this is great. This is fantastic. I think I lined out, and then I had a double later in the game. And the next day I go to the doctor because my tooth was pointing forward. So I was just going to get my tooth pushed back in and play. And so they glued my teeth together, and they're like, can you open your mouth? And I'm like, opening my mouth like this. No farther. I'm like, yeah, it's just sore. Like, I got hit here. It's broke. And then I'm like, eh. And they're like, well, we have to take x-rays. They took 2 different kind of x-rays. The second one showed it broke right through here.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was fully broken in the front and half in the back.
Oh, my gosh.
And I was like, I even asked, like, whatever, it's broken. I'm like, can I play? Like,
and they said no.
Doc, I'm hot right now. I don't know if you know that. Like,
I'm like, can I
I've been
play?
waiting for this moment my entire life.
And they're like, we no. And I'm like, all right, what's the timeline? They told me 3 weeks. I was like, all right, I'll come back in 3 weeks. I come back in 3 weeks. They're like, all right, 2 more weeks. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm over here just like dying. I'm drinking smoothies every day, no food. I'm like, I just want to play some baseball. Like, dang it. And I came back after that, and the couple games in AAA, the game felt slow. So I was just like, all right, like
you crushed the ball in AAA, and I don't know, you might need a couple more at bats there because you're almost at 100 MILB home runs. So I don't know if you're aware of that, but you're pretty damn close.
I want to reach 100 homers in the big leagues before I reach 100 homers down there.
Yes.
We like round numbers.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so after I played there, I probably should have played. I probably was supposed to play 2 more games, but I got a call, and I'm like, yo, I'm ready. Just bring me back up. Like, I want to play. Played the first 2 weeks pretty well. After that, everything felt so weird. My body got tired because I had a month and a half off traveling. So I'm like, dang it. Yeah. So I tried everything I could to just get back into where I got to, and I slowly started to do that. And then the season was over, and I was like, whatever. But now I know, all right, catch the dang ball with your glove. Don't get hit in the face. And by June, you'll be good to go.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, I don't know. I know you've seen your Topps card, but your Topps Heritage card, you just have a fun fact now on the back that says, hit a home run and double with a broken jaw on that date. It says it right on the back there. So,
oh, yeah.
So, yeah, if you've seen that one, that's on your baseball card. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I'm sure you were hating it at the time, obviously.
I wanted to play so bad even with a broken jaw, but the only reason I couldn't play is if I slid in the second and hit my chin hit the ground, or I slid feet first and someone tagged me in the face, or I'm sliding into home and I get tagged in the face, my jaw could have fully broken, and then they would have had to have readjusted my whole jaw, sewn me up, and then I would have been out for like 2 months, and I would have missed the whole season.
Yeah.
But you were able to get back in time for the White Sox series.
That was my goal.
Yeah.
And that
because
had to have been, I mean, we'll get into some of your favorite stuff here, but like that had to have been the coolest. Like Milwaukee was fun. Yeah, we had a bunch of family there, whatever.
Milwaukee was wild, dude. Milwaukee was incredible. Milwaukee was. I mean, we didn't get to see you at all, which understandable. But dude, the tailgate that we didn't go to the tailgate. We came a little bit later, but like, I mean, there was almost 400 people there. I mean, friends, family, friends of friends, friends of family. Like,
Yeah, it was
that was,
wild.
yeah, TJ was there, who's a friend of yours. Like, I mean, just incredible, like, to be in that environment, first of all. But yeah, I mean, like Brandon was just saying, like, playing at the Cell, you grew up a White Sox fan. I mean, how surreal is that? Like, being able to debut there. I mean, how cool is that?
I think the coolest part was I was probably like the third inning of the first game, and we had like a mound visit. I go out to the mound. They're just talking, whatever, and I'm getting back to the position. And I just kind of look into the stands, like up to where the number retirements are, and I see Paul Konerko, his number retired on the wall, and I was like, dang. I was like, that's the guy I wore 14 for. Like, that's the guy I watched all growing up. Like, loved the way he played the game, loved how he hit. I'm like, that's sick. And then the next day, I go and hit a home run. And when I'm trotting to home, I look up and it's literally right in front of my face. And so I'm like, dang, like, this is cool.
So you weren't pointing at Drew, then you're pointing at Paul Konerko.
Oh,
Is that
no.
what you're saying?
No, Drew,
Yeah.
no.
I hear that.
Yeah, no.
As for you, Paul, no.
Yeah, I was definitely showing love. I was definitely showing love to the family. But that was a cool moment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, it's just all these ballparks are probably cool in their own right, but I have to imagine stepping on that specific field growing up as a White Sox fan was probably. You're probably not a fan of any teams now. Again, it just kind of washes out. You're right. You're playing for whoever you're
I'm
playing
a fan.
with.
Whoever wants to put me on the field.
And
Yes.
we are a
We
fan
A's
of whatever that
fans
team is.
really
Because
heavily.
also, we don't really like the Dodgers on this show, so we're okay with the no. We would have
Yes.
rooted for the Dodgers at least at first base for a little while.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I guess I think we should get into some of his top stuff here, right? Just so we can
Yes,
get
for sure.
going here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I could listen to whatever you have to say all night about players and stuff, but this is
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so more so we're not going to call them rapid fire, but just like we want to ask some questions just based on like your experiences now, past experiences and all that stuff. So Brandon and I kind of came up with a little list and we'll kind of alternate on it. So I guess first one that we want to roll with is like favorite park and favorite city to play in. I mean, from your major league experience, you can even dip into the minor leagues if you want. They might not even be the same spot. You might like playing in this city, but you might like a park in another spot better. But I guess even if you have like a top 2 or 3, like favorite city and favorite park to play in.
I can definitely do 3. I'll do top 3.
Okay.
I'll go parks first because the cities don't match the parks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not everywhere. So for ballparks, and not in any order.
Yeah.
It is Seattle, Baltimore,
Mm-hmm.
and this is probably going to throw you guys for a loop. Houston.
Oh, yeah.
We've been to Houston. Yep. What about Houston?
Yeah.
The fans.
Yeah.
The field.
Yeah.
It's just everything about Houston just feels like so pro, but also they love their team.
Mm-hmm.
And like you'll go places and like you'll hear some boos from the fans about their players. I don't think I heard one time that fan base booing one of their players after having a bad series or a bad couple games. Like every day their names would be announced and it would just be like, boom, whole place would cheer for everybody.
Yeah.
So we were there in 2015 or 2016 before the
20.
playoffs.
It was before they were the World Series. I think it was 16.
And it was a little less, but they've definitely been sold out pretty much since then. So we'd probably get a different environment if we go back. But yeah, we did not get the Houston experience that you got post these World Series runs and players they have. I'm sure they appreciate it a lot more now than they did before because they weren't good before. So it's tough. I think too, we were at Oakland when it was rocking, and there was 35,000 people there. And they were in a pennant race. That place is top 5 vibes, in my opinion, of places.
Yeah.
And we've been to 20 ballparks, but like, I was blown away by that place because it's a football stadium, and it's like you get all that surround sound pumping. And
that's actually funny because one of our last series at home, we were playing the Tigers. So it was the last time Miggy was in Oakland, and he played a playoff game there.
Yeah,
and he gets on first, and I look at him after a couple of pitches. And I'm like, "Hey, Miggy." He just looked back, and I'm like, "How loud is this place in the playoffs?" And he goes, "It's the best place to play in the playoffs in the league."
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Really?" He goes, "So loud."
Yeah.
And I was like, And we heard it a little bit this year. We had, I think, 700 for the Rays game.
Yep.
And it was a close game, and we closed out 2-1. And one inning, they did a silent batter, and you could hear a pin drop. The next batter, it was the loudest thing I've ever heard on a baseball field in my entire life.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I'm like, I want these people to be here like this every game.
Right.
I know.
Like,
and
at least
it's,
half.
it's,
like, bring half of these guys.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's possible too. Like, I mean, the fan base in Oakland is unbelievable. They love their sports. They do. And it's a great place to be an athlete. It is.
Yep.
It is great. I those fans, especially the ones that come every single day in right field and in left field, and they love A's baseball, and they live, breathe, die A's baseball. And we love having them at the games, and it's such a joy to see them, especially when we win. And when we were getting a little hot last year, they were just loving it. And a lot of them travel. Like, we have, I think we have, at least that I know of, 2 fans that I have seen at almost every ballpark we were at this year.
One lady we ran into at one of them said she doesn't go to home games. She only goes to road games, and she'll travel with the team and go from ballpark to ballpark, but won't go.
That was in Milwaukee. That was in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Like, they saw Brandon's Noda shirt, and they're like, "Oh, are you like a friend of the?" She's like, "No, I'm from California. Like, we just love Noda. We love watching him play. He's one of our favorites." I'm like, "Well, that's awesome to hear."
Yeah, that's sweet.
but yeah, she was not from Lake County, that's for sure.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And
you also had a good series in Houston, though, so I can see why you like playing there.
Yes.
Yeah, they have some good pitchers, though. Don't get me wrong. That's a good
excellent.
spot.
But Houston. I mean, I will say I'll agree with you on that one. I really enjoyed like watching. I think we were only at 1 or 2 games, but I mean, it's got a cool like ambiance to it. You got like the stockyard, like train yard type feel in the background, very industrial. Like I felt like the visuals, like we were in the outfield and the bleachers watching the game, but like very, very clear. And I guess as a hitter, it's probably nice too, because just very clear. You can see the ball well, despite, I mean, probably the nasty pitchers that you're seeing. It could be tougher, but yeah, I thought it was a very cool place to watch a game, even though like when we were there, they weren't really the team that they are now then. But it's a sweet place. I agree with that 100%.
I can see though how Houston is not a fun city to be in the summer. It's very hot, so I can see how those don't match.
It is, and I love that place. Minute Maid, the Juice Box, the nickname of the century. It's great. And then going on Camden Yards, just the historic brick in the right field. And even though they moved the wall back to freaking, I don't even know, freaking Canada in left field, it feels so far.
Seattle's big too. I mean, those are some big ballparks.
It is. But before I hit Seattle, it's just Camden Yards. It's just the coolest part about Camden Yards to me was when they were doing the national anthem, and part of the national anthem, all you hear is the whole crowd just go, "O's." And I'm just like sitting here, I'm like, what? Like, that's cool. They got this stuff splash zone in right field. Like, it's just cool. And then you go to Seattle, and our last time in Seattle, when they were making that little playoff push.
Oh my, yeah.
That place gets rocking. Like, you could tell that half the fans are the fans for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Because it gets loud.
12th man, yeah.
It is awesome. Like, and they love their players, but they especially love my man J Rod.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
because he's basically like a, I don't know, I can't say it, but like they want him to be like the Ken Griffey Jr. of the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah.
And like all the respect to J Rod because he's a great player, but Ken Griffey Jr., you got some ways to go, J Rod.
Yeah, he's probably prettiest swing ever. And I mean, dude,
Oh, yeah.
Seattle. I have not been to Camden Yards. That's definitely a bucket list for Brandon and I. One of the more beautiful parks in baseball, but Seattle is in my top like 3. I mean, just a great place to watch a game. The Pacific Northwest is so beautiful in the summer. I mean, and I can only imagine when they're like doing really well. But I was there in 2017, and King Felix was pitching in the game that I was at, which was a blast to watch. He was kind of getting in the twilight of his career, but I mean, Seattle's a beautiful place. I mean, such a beautiful, awesome. Beautiful park.
And then cities. Oof. This is the toughest one because a lot of them are pretty similar.
And when you come from the Midwest and Chicago, like a lot of cities aren't as
hard,
big, right?
No,
you get tainted because we live, right.
Yeah. Boston, Miami.
Okay.
I can't do Chicago. Like Chicago's definitely number 1. Like no matter what,
for sure.
in the summertime, nothing beats Chicago. It's unbelievably beautiful. Yeah. Our hotel we stay at is unbelievably beautiful, and like you can go anywhere and you can get great food.
Yeah.
The best pizza in the world is all around you. Yeah. So it's just like, so I can't put Chicago in there because it's automatically going to be number 1.
Well, and this year you get, not that you're not a Cub fan at all, but like you get Wrigley. You get Wrigley this year, which is, I'm sure walking out of that tunnel will be the same feel of just like Fenway is a historic park, Yankee Stadium, but like Wrigley's a different feel for sure.
Yeah. And then the last, this is the hardest one. I'm usually the 2, like Miami was a stretch, like, and I like New York, but it's just too.
Yeah.
A lot of construction was going on when we were there.
It's busy. It's really busy.
It is really busy. Shoot, what's the last? I don't even know. Let's Dallas.
Okay.
We don't stay in the city, but just around the stadium is awesome.
Yeah.
Like where we stay at is beautiful. Like good food because we're there. We're in Texas freaking a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I'd have to say those 3 were probably the better cities. But Chicago's always the best.
Agreed.
Exactly.
Yes. 100%. Yes.
Yeah. Especially when the Bears are doing well.
Yes.
100%.
Yep. Ryan wrote this one down. Pre and post game meal. Do you have anything you go to, or does that come later in your career? Because I know diet's going to come in at some point where you got to be very disciplined. But maybe Chad Ochocinco used to have McDonald's before every game. So I mean,
I used pre-game meal at home. Right after BP, I always have an acai bowl.
Okay. Smoothie bowl?
Yeah. So I usually blueberries, strawberries.
You are in California, so that does make sense.
Yeah. And I don't like to eat that much before I play.
Yeah.
So it's like enough to get me going and to get me energy throughout the whole game. And for dinner, I'd have to say the prime rib in New York.
Oh.
Okay.
The Yankees Stadium. When everyone tells you the Yankee Stadium, you get fed great. It is no lie.
Okay.
It's the best food clubhouse. Like Texas Rangers clubhouse is awesome.
Yeah.
But Yankee Stadium, it's just the food is different.
And free, right? So there you go. It can't
be yes.
The free part's the best part, but like it's just different.
Okay. All right. Hardest at bat. I have a theory, but
it's DeGrom.
Yeah.
Like I've seen a lot of good pitchers this year, but like it's just I think it was because the first time I faced him, and he just felt like he was so close. He did not look he looked like he was 50 feet away.
The ball wasn't expanding on you at that point?
No.
No, it was like a ping pong ball was coming at me at that
Yes.
point.
Yeah. Like,
At 101.
Do you even see laces at that point? Probably not. You're just
Yeah, you see him, but he locates. He's smooth release, locates, arm slot, same for everything. Everything comes out of his hand the exact same.
Yeah.
You just gotta. I think he's a guy like you have to see more, and then you can kind of get it more.
Yeah.
But he's just for the game aspect of everything. The baseball world needs him to be healthy for a full
Yeah, I
season
know.
again.
And this is something we were talking about around when we first started around the postseason. Is like Texas just won without probably the best pitcher in baseball.
Oh yeah,
And they're gonna get him back, and they're gonna be how much better. But like baseball's also goofy, where you get him back, and you may not even win your division. So it's
Nope.
like, yeah, because he had one year where he was like, I think he was 9-11 with a 1.7 ERA. It's like, how do you lose 11 games? How is that even like physically possible? But yeah, was there a runner up to DeGrom, or was everyone else everyone's good at this level, right? Everyone can throw strikes. It's not low A where guys struggle.
Did you face Shohei?
Oh, he got a double off him. Oh yeah,
1 for 2.
Yeah. I thought you did.
Do you get a piece of the $600 million for every hit you get off him, or
700. 700.
Well, it's deferred, so maybe you don't. You
Yeah.
defer your double money to later.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wish I was wearing number 17 on the Dodgers to get a free Porsche out of it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Joe
Joe
Kelly,
Kelly.
man.
Yeah. Joe Kelly's
just
wife.
kidding.
Gosh.
No, I
Not
think
really.
I think so. He's definitely the hardest righty to face. The hardest lefty I faced this year, probably Frammer.
Valdez.
Oh, Valdez. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a point too where you were getting platoon versus lefties, and it didn't make a lot of sense because first you didn't have a lot of at bats, so it's hard to make. And again, we don't question coaching. I'm not saying go to
we love Cots. We love Cots.
Oh yeah,
we love Cots.
But like you had some pretty good numbers against lefties. There really wasn't a lot to like say you should be platooning, and I think when you got that chance. I think it's great that you have an approach for it because some guys, you're right, they go up there and they may not have a change because it's like, my swing got me here, I don't want to change it. But if you have a different approach for lefties, great. Like, I mean, I think you should face some more. But yeah, Valdez he's on the World Series champs for a reason.
What about, he's got nasty, but like, what about him? I mean, he's got
Deceptive.
some different, like, he's got an arsenal of pitches. He's got a couple different like windups and tempos that he goes with. He kind of just messes with you.
It's just it's just his pitching. It's like his heater, one at bat will just be straight, and then you'll be like, all right, if he throws that again, and then all of a sudden it'll run at like a 12 horizontal, and then it just shatters your fingers. And then his curveball is just really slow. So you always just want to go get it, but you got to kind of wait back a little bit, but you can't wait too far back, otherwise you're going to still be late. So it's just like figuring out, all right, like what is the approach on Frammer?
Yeah.
No stride. I think you go no stride.
No stride.
And so and he also pitched me really well. So like I just tipped my cap at him that game. Like he threw really good pitches. He located very well. He threw a lot of stuff off a lot of stuff that I was not looking for. Yeah. So he just pitched well. I only got to face him 3 at bats.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but for you guys, you play Houston a lot, so there's a lot out on you with when you go face a team like Houston because they're aware that hey, this guy's gonna be patient. He's gonna take his walks, and we have to be aggressive at least early in the count. Otherwise, you're not gonna go chase it because you had one of the highest like balls in the strike zone. You weren't swinging at balls out of the strike zone basically. So eventually when you play a team 14, 18 times, they're going to notice that about you. So they're going to have a little more of a game plan for you.
Exactly. So it's just figuring out how he pitches to certain guys like myself and not like myself to play off that. And then just learning off of it. And so like everyone says like, hey, your rookie year, like, yeah, you're trying to do good, but you're also trying to learn.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to learn like what a different approach I need or what same approach I need, and just kind of feeding off that.
You're probably really a rookie only for like April, and then it's like, all right, I'm a professional baseball player, and like I gotta adapt or die, or like because the Cubs brought up Matt Mervis this year. That was a big one, and he lasted about 3 weeks, and he was hitting like 120, and it's like you don't last long if you're not continue. Like, again, it's cool. It's like we'll give you some adjustment time, but you got to get going at some point, and you're a professional baseball player, and it's a long season, and yeah, they're not going to take a lot of if it's not going well, you're going to be on the back burner.
And my boy said it right from the jump. It's the jungle out there, and it's either you're the prey or you're the predator. And so you always got to be the predator. And so you always have to find, like, predators aren't always going to get them the first time, but they find ways to get their food. And they always adjust. And over time, the kings of the jungle, the kings of the Sahara, all this type of stuff, like, they have adapted and adjusted to stay king of that food group. And it's the same thing with baseball. Like, you have to adapt, and you have to own your jungle, and you have to, like, keep leading yourself into better directions to better yourself and opportunities that you get when you're not going well. But hey, you're still going to play. Figure it out. We're going to help you, but you need to figure it out. And so that's where the failure in Lansing and Dunedin helped this year of, like, yo, I've been in this situation before. I'm like, shoot, I hit 180 for 2 months and then came out hitting 250 with 20. I'm like, doesn't matter. I can spray off as many home runs as I want if I get hot. I'm like, now I just got to grind and get back to that spot. Okay, what are they doing to me? What are they doing to this? What are they doing here? If I get this, what are they doing here? And so it's just playing the game of, like, I'm trying to play chess while they play checkers, and I'm trying to be the king and have them be a pawn.
Yeah. And go ahead, Brandon.
I would say Jesus Aguilar was kind of in that position because he got DFA'd. And that was a reality of you getting to play, and you guys had a little bit of camaraderie going back. He hit a homer, you hit a homer, you guys were kind of helping each other out. But at the end of the day, someone had to go.
And I love, like, Jesus Aguilar was awesome. Like, he helped me too, because, like, Ryan, you know this, like, coaching me for a little in high school, like, when I do something, I'm going 100% speed all the time.
Oh, you're running through a brick wall, dude.
And he would always have to tell me, like, Poppy, relax, smooth, like, relax. We have 180 days left. Relax. Like, work your way into it. And, like, the first week, I'm like, what are you talking about, man? Like, I've done this my whole life. Like, I've done 110% all the time my whole life, and it doesn't hurt me, blah, blah, blah. And then I finally learned what he was talking about. Because you're going to go 100% in the game, but you have to be smooth and relaxed in practice, so then you're smooth and relaxed at 100%. And so that was, like, one of the things that Jesus taught me was, like, slow yourself down, slow the game down, relax, and just be you because you are good enough.
And the thing is, like, you talked about this earlier, like, if you take a play off, like, they're going to notice, your teammates are going to notice, the opponent's going to notice. It's often like, well, if I'm not going 110%, then it might feel like I'm taking a play off. But if you learn how to relax and control and breathe, that just becomes part of your game. And that's something that another team can't take away from you. If you're calm, cool, and collected, if you can control yourself and your outcomes, I mean, that's half the battle right there. And you got to believe, like, if a team, there's so much data and analytics and video and tape on everybody, it is an entire organization's job. They have a room full of, I don't want to call them nerds, but they're nerds, analyzing your swing, analyzing your weaknesses, analyzing your strength. And it's their job to figure out for their team to relay that data, like, hey, this is where this guy's weak. This is where you can get him. But you being that predator, you're just learning, you're adapting, you're adjusting to their adjustments. And yeah, you're not taking a play off. You're just relaxing. You're building that into your game and into your DNA. And that's great that a veteran like Jesus Aguilar, who's, again, he's been in the show, he's been at the top of the food chain, he's been bopping homers. I mean, he's been an all-star. But for him to, like, take a younger guy like you aside, someone who's his competition, really, you guys are battling for a job, you're battling for a slot, for him to, like, slow down and to care enough about you to coach you up, to build you up, like, that it just goes to show, like, how many great individuals there are in this game and just caring people. At the end of the day, like, they care about you, which is great.
100%.
Yeah. This will be the last time I bring up a specific play of the season. Do you remember, because we're talking about taking plays off too. You were playing the Yankees, and you guys picked off Volpe twice, and the ball squirted away. You had a really good defensive season. That was like very what's going through your mind when the first ball squirts away and then the second one basically goes right through? Like, because that's another moment where it's like, this is not good. And they panned to you, they panned to Katse. He was not mad. He was not happy. It's like, what's going through your mind in a moment like that? Because, like, that's another one of those failure moments, potentially, that could just keep snowballing.
Yeah,
you remember? I'm sure you remember that.
Yeah, 100%. I remember it clear as day because it was Ursig on the mound, and he fires it over there. Yes. So I'm always locked in when he's throwing. Mm-hmm. The first one cut, and so it just nicked off my glove, but it stayed close, so he didn't go anywhere. And so I'm like, all right, he's throwing cutters over here today. I'll be ready for the cutter. Throws the pitch. Next pitch, picks off again, but it was like he was throwing his nasty sinker, and it just kind of like got away from me and went under my legs. And I'm like, gosh, darn it, dude. I'm like, I still should catch that, but like, fudge. Like, and so like I get over there and I'm just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, get in the dugout, and our infield coach was like just looking at me, and I'm like, it's my bad. I'm like, that's my bad. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, it won't happen again. Go out there 2 innings later, and I get like a ground ball in the hole, and I went to go down on it, and it freaking hits and goes like to the left and goes around my glove basically and past me. Thank goodness we had someone there, and they fielded it. We didn't get the out, but he kept it in. And I'm like sitting here, I'm like, okay, it's just one of those days. Lock it, lock it in, like finish the game. I made a play towards the end of the game, and I was like, all right, you're good. Like, it happened. And then the best thing about Cots was like the next day we're going out for ground balls, and he comes up to me, he goes, Nodes, he goes, even if it was your first time, it probably wasn't your first time you had a game like that. It won't be the last.
Okay.
He goes,
yeah,
it happens. He goes, but just keep working hard, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, you're right. It's happened. And I'm like, kind of think back. I'm like, well, shoot, Nolan Arenado's been the Gold Glover for the last 10 years, and he makes about 16 to 20 errors a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
I'm like,
right.
I'm like, it's going to happen.
Yeah. It's okay.
We have to limit some of them at times. So it's like, okay, like now I know, like, all right, this is what this guy's ball is going to do. Just goalie. Like, you wear one, like, he owes you dinner. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt terrible because like Ursig used to be a position player. Mm-hmm. And so he knows. Yeah. And like, I'm over here like, man, I am trying my hardest to lose. I'm so sorry, Lucas. Like, and he looked at me and goes, don't say sorry. He goes, I know. He goes, it's fine. And I'm like, you're right.
Yeah. But that's, I mean, again, that can very easily snowball, but you had a good defensive season. First base is so freaking hard, and no one notices anything about it until the ball squirts away. I think it was Dansby Swanson who was talking, or Nico Horner was talking about how, we don't make very many good throws to first base. It looks like it sometimes, but like we don't make good throws all the time. And the amount of digging you have to do and how much practice that takes, and just it's you made it look pretty seamless towards the end, but first base is so hard, and you're responsible for so much. I don't know how many putouts you had last year, but it's probably over 1,000, because it's just the ball's coming in, and every play you're responsible for something.
It's definitely a lot harder than people think it is. But I still would never want to be a catcher.
No. First base after that, they're like, oh my god, shot.
I'm done with this.
But I think you said it at the beginning of last year, and we have like, what are your goals for 2024? But you said at the beginning of last year, you're like, I want to win a Gold Glove. I don't think that's crazy. I think that's I think
No.
that's legit. I think you have every opportunity to do that, and you work hard enough to do it. You're going to do it. So
Yeah, you have all the skills, athleticism, dedication, like for sure. That you can definitely do that for sure.
If it doesn't happen, it's not going to be because of your work ethic. It'll just maybe because of opportunity.
100%.
Not that it's based on hitting, but sometimes it's based on hitting.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
You got to do both. So we
Yes.
definitely will have an opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
But
All right.
any goals for 2024 besides winning the Gold Glove, which we'll see?
Personal or professional?
Personal or professional.
You could do both.
I would go literally the only goal, I'd say two, but the main goal is to bring people aware that the A's are legit. Like, I want winning season and a chance at the playoffs. I want to play important games at the end of August going into September. Like, I want to be like, hey, like, if we win in 4 out of the last 7, like, we're in the wild card, or like we're winning, like we're close to the division. Like, this is what we're going to do. Like, that's what I want, a winning season and a chance to be in the playoff race. Only goals I want. Because if that's happening, then everything else is happening. That means the team morale is high. We're playing together at a high level. Our pitching staff is dominating at the spots that they need to dominate in. Our hitters are getting our jobs done. We're running the bases well. We're not taking outs on the bases when we don't need to. Like, fundamental baseball on defense, doing the little things.
You're healthy.
Yes, healthy. And just being able to know, like, hey, we're in the 9th inning. It's a 1-run ball game. We got guy on second, first, and whoever's on the mound's up. Like, we're winning. Like, we're winning because we all know we're going to win.
Yeah, I think you guys got to taste that last year when you went on that winning streak. Because that's the thing. Anyone can win at any time, and it doesn't matter about your talent level.
Yeah, and I think the way we were finishing towards the last month as a team, and some of our guys, we weren't even hot. We were just playing better overall baseball because we didn't get beat a lot this year. We lost games.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't because we weren't good enough. It was because mental error here, mental error there, base running error here, pitching error here, fielding error here. And it just compiled and it just never could just be here. Like, through the game, it was always like, boom, in there. So as long as we can get here and keep playing for each other and keep building on a winning mindset, which is something that myself and a couple of guys started preaching more towards the end of the season, is like, guys, we're not just here. Like, we want to win. Like, this is our thing. Like, we are winners. Like, I am not a loser. Like, this is unacceptable. Like, we need to just literally put winning in our brain and put championship in our brain. Like, it doesn't matter what people say about us. Like, people could write us off and people could keep saying, like, we're going to lose another 100 games, but, like, who cares about them? Because they're not the ones in this locker room. They're not the ones working. They're not the ones on the field. They're the ones just sitting in suits and stupid freaking ESPN lounges or whatever. But because all we care about right now, like, especially everyone in the clubhouse, is like, we care about what we want to do together and how we build this together and how we can build to have a sustainable future for this organization.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. 'Cause
those are great answers.
I don't know if I would have thought that would have been your answer, but you're so right. If the team's having success, you're going to have success. So the personal goal isn't necessary, right? If your goal is to be successful, and you're right, no one at this level, you're not a bad baseball player to get to this level. Everyone's good. Everyone's talented. You're not a team of guys who are just, I finished last place in my high school. Like, no, these are not. These are not those players. We sit at our desks. Well, I don't sit at a desk, but we do what we do because we didn't do that. So that's very good perspective for you.
And, like, we had a couple guys last year that had very good seasons, but you never heard about it.
Oh, Ruiz was insane.
Oh, yeah.
The number of
So-
bases he was stealing, and he was hurt for a while. Like, yeah, you had guys. Well, okay, guys that were watching, maybe from our area, watching you take your bats would notice that some other guys are playing well. It was really probably pitching that just wasn't able to carry through. Not pinpointing it, but like you just didn't have the depth of pitching to win a lot more games.
Yeah, I think it was both sides of the ball last year, and it was like getting the big hit when we needed it, getting the big pitch when we needed it. Like we had a lot of games last year where our pitchers, our starters especially, freaking shoved.
Yeah.
Our bullpen guys would hold something. We would have a lot of opportunities to the game, but we couldn't get more runs in.
Yeah.
And then we would have one bad inning, and then we would lose by one.
Yep. Yep.
And it's like, guys, if we just get this guy in the 5th inning and this guy in the 7th inning, we're up by 3 and not just by 1.
Yep. You weren't losing every game 12-2. That there was a couple of those clunkers, but like
everyone goes through that.
Yeah.
They do.
The Angels won a game 27-2 last year. Like it happens.
Yeah.
Like those things happen. So
and it's just about like who picks each other up.
Yeah.
And like last year we didn't do a great job of that, and we know that, and like that's something we worked on, and I think towards the end of the season we did a lot better at it. Picking everybody up. You make a mistake, hey, we got you.
Yeah.
Like some of our pitchers, like someone makes an error, be like, yo, it's coming to you, be ready again. Like just stuff like that. And like as hitters, it's like guys on 2nd and 3rd, I strike out or I ground out and they don't run home and it's 2 outs. I'm walking back and it's just like, yo, like Rook, you got him. Or like Geloff, you got him. Brownie, you got him. Diaz, you got him. Just like going down the order, like, yo, you guys got this. Let's go pick me up. Just like stuff like that. And it's like, I don't even have to say it. It's just like, you can look at them and they just be like, I got you. Or it's like, and they don't even have to say it either. It's just like, they'll look at you and be like they're locked in. Like, I'm ready to get you. I'm ready to pick you up. And that's something we didn't do too well in the beginning of the year last year. We started to do better at it later. And it's because we started talking about it. And it's like, I'm a big, like, you say it and it's better off coming true. And it's like, because you actually put your mind and your mind hears it. Because like your brain is so unique in the way you listen, the way you're like, everything works within the psychology of your, body. It's just like, if you don't really believe it and you can't say it, then your body's not going to believe it. And then your brain's not going to believe it. Your heart's not going to be in it. But like, if you can say it, like, hey, we're going to dominate these guys today. Hey, we're going to dominate these guys today. Hey, we're going to win today. Hey, we want to win. Hey, we're going to win. Hey, we're going to win. Instead of not hearing it, and then you have a couple losing, and like, hey, we're going to win. Hey, we're going to win. It's like, holy shit, like, we're going to win. We're going to win. And it's like the whole locker, oh, shoot, we're going to win. And then it's like, oh, my gosh, you're in the big spot, and you're like, hey, we're going to win this game. And it's like, it takes the pressure off more, and it makes everyone believe, like, yo, we trust this guy up the box. Like, let's go. Like, he's ready to go. And that's 1 through 9, 1 through 13, 1 through 26.
Yep. Brian Talbot was probably the first one that ever said anything like that to me. But it was just about like, he would ask me, he's like, what are you going up to the plate doing? And if you couldn't answer, it's like, well, I'm going to go and I'm going to have an at bat. It's like, no, what exactly are you trying to do? But he would speak it into existence, and he would tell it and say it. And he had me do things that I would never do on my own, but he would say it. He's like, you're going to go do this. You're going to go steal that base, and then you're going to come to third. And then you're going to go do this. But, like, you're right. Saying it and making it happen just it raises you to that level. And on a big league level, probably different. But, yeah, there's a huge thing for your mentality. And, again, when things are not going well, it can snowball. But when things are going well, you can keep that momentum going. And then you believe it a little more, too.
Exactly.
You could see it in your guys' confidence. Again, you weren't maybe winning as many games as you wanted to, but you were playing better baseball.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Competing.
Absolutely. All
right. Last little bit here. This is a segment that we've been doing with the last couple guests that we've had on. So it's a fan favorites type deal. So we take a position and you pick maybe a guy that as a kid that you looked up to, maybe modeled your game after at a specific position, or just someone that you liked. And then maybe present day for you, it's a little bit different because these are your peers, but there's definitely guys who you admire, you like their game. Maybe they're friends of yours or people that you like, and that kind of thing. So we're not going to pinpoint a specific outfield position, but we're going to do outfield, kind of throwing it back to your outfield days. So Was there a particular player as a kid, as an outfielder that you looked up to at the outfield position? Does any left, center, right, anywhere? Is there a guy that you were a fan of or really, really enjoyed watching play?
Enjoyed watching play would definitely be, I'd say, Scott Posednik in the outfield.
Of course.
Was someone, or Aaron Rowan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd say those two guys, just because of how hard they played.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't necessarily of like all the talent. Like, of course, I, loved watching all the talented super, like Ken Griffey's and all that kind of stuff. But I love to watch the guys that just like would run through the wall, as we saw Rowan break his nose.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like, I just always respected that a lot, because it's like, yo, you're putting your body and your future on the line just to catch a baseball in a game. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Brandon, what about you? Was there an outfielder that you really liked?
Sounds like he went center field, so we can try and do center field. The first name that came to mind for me is, I don't even know if he's my favorite of all time, but just first that came was Kenny Lofton. He played for a lot of teams, played for the Cubs in 2003. He just got a lot of hits. And I like guys like that, guys that have high batting averages, not necessarily the power numbers. Another guy like that would have been Juan Pierre. A lot of hits.
That's a good one, too.
So, yeah, I definitely would trend that way. Probably a different one if I thought about center field for a long time. But those probably Kenny Lofton and Juan Pierre.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so many great center fielders out there. I mean, he's not my favorite, but in the conversation, I mean, Torrey Hunter, just both sides of the ball, just incredible, even up to the very last game. And he was 38, 39 years old, playing just great defense and hitting well. My favorite center fielder as a kid growing up was Johnny Damon. Really big Johnny Damon fan. I mean, he just did everything well. Didn't have the strongest arm, but was a freak athlete. I mean, he was probably about your size, like 6'3", moved really well, hit a lot of doubles, scored a lot of runs, drove in a lot of runs, won a couple World Series with a couple different teams. I mean, we were big Red Sox fans growing up, so he was on the team that broke the curse, and then he won a World Series with the Yankees too, but just incredible player. I don't think he got nearly enough as many accolades as he deserved, because he played on a lot of not great Kansas City teams early in his career, but was just absolute freak of an athlete. Oakland. But I mean, the guy, he stole 400 bases as well. So just super fun, super nice dude. He seems like a great guy off the field as well. Super laid back and chill. Johnny Damon is my guy of the past, I would think.
That's a good one.
Absolutely. Anyone today, or either center field or outfield, that you... We've seen that you've hung out with Mookie Betts before. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
He's a pretty good athlete.
Yeah, Mookie does everything good.
Yes.
I think they're still trying to figure out what Mookie can't do.
Him at second or shortstop this last year was like...
He's going to be the second baseman this year for the Dodgers.
Yes. He's second baseman. I mean, to go from outfield to infield at the major league level without taking much time there is phenomenal.
Well, yeah, he played a lot of infield in the minors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the Red Sox. He was a second baseman. Right. He was drafted as a second baseman.
They're like, all right, well, you're not going to play because we have a really good second baseman right now. So, we're going to put you in the outfield. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, Gold Glove outfielder. All right. MVP outfielder. All right. What are we going to do now? No, but yeah, Mookie's definitely, I would say he's up there. And just, being in a practice with him also, and how he goes about his practice, and just throwing the balls in, like we're throwing to second, third, and home, and he's emphasizing heavily on long hops.
Mm-hmm.
Like, make sure you long hop, make sure you're accurate, make sure you long hop, make sure you're accurate. And it's like he's saying it, but he's also doing it. And like you see him working it. And so that's the coolest part, is like, it's not so necessarily looking up to, but it's like, yo, this is so much respect. And like, you're good because you work at it and you're athletic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's nice. And like, he pushes people to get better because he wants the people around him to be better. So it's like, it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say Mookie is definitely my outfielder as well. And being a Red Sox fan, watching him come through the minors, watching him emerge as a superstar, winning an MVP award, winning a World Series. It was a very sad day for us when the
Yeah.
Red Sox decided not to sign this guy to a long-term deal, give him a blank check and let him write in the number. I mean, it was a very, very poor decision for the future of their franchise to let him walk, because again, just a young talent just entering the prime of his career, lots of great years of baseball ahead of him, and I mean, he just continues to prove to people that he's the best. I mean, he is one of the best in this game, if not the best. And he's the epitome of what a five-tool player is. And I'm glad that you've gotten to spend some time with him and see him work. And it's cool to hear that he's a solid dude and that he works just as hard in the background as he does when he's on the field.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to hear.
You have to. I would say, just so we don't stay on the Mookie Betts train, I would agree. My favorite center fielder to watch right now, when he's on the field, Kevin Kiermaier. Just defensively, how much range. He's so unassuming. He doesn't look like he would be that fast, but watching him go after balls, the routes he takes, winning the Gold Glove, basically, if he's healthy, he should win the Gold Glove. I don't know if there's any debate.
He's the outlaw. He's the outlaw.
Sure.
It's see, that's the thing. It's like I got one guy in my head other than Mookie that if he played every single day in center field, other than the guys on my team, because I wish all my guys could get Gold Glove, but
yes.
he was in our team in spring training.
Yeah.
Christian Pache is by far one of the most freak outfielders I've ever seen, and he plays so shallow, but he literally gets everything.
Yeah.
And he tormented us when they came and played us. He literally robbed like 7 to 8 hits in 3 games, and it was just like. And like one of them was me, and I'm like, Pops.
Yeah.
And he's like, sorry, Bobby. I'm like, bro, like, dang.
Yeah.
Who is he, Ryan?
Who's he with?
And you're catching
Who's he with now?
Yeah, Phillies.
He's with the Phillies.
Yeah.
I want to see him break out so bad. I mean, we were just talking a couple last.
It's hard on a team like that. It is. I mean, what do you do?
Well, he played when he got in before he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He was raking, and he was, and then all of a sudden, like, started slowing down, and then they would platoon him, and then once you start getting platooned, you're just like, whatever, and then like you get back in there, and if you haven't seen that bat in a while, it's like, oh, hey, yeah, we're gonna platoon you. You're gonna face Jordan Montgomery. No, go for it.
Yeah,
or like you're facing Kramer, like you're So, but that man is crazy out there, and like, we got some sneaky guys. Like, it depends on who plays center for us, but like we got some good center. We got Estui, we got Butler, we got Blade. Like, those
I forgot about Butler. Yeah, he's good
like,
too. He's
Butler
good.
He is
he's
raw, but when he gets that power under control,
But he's awesome because he likes to learn.
Yeah.
And he's a great person.
Yeah.
Like, awesome dude. But he loves to learn. He's a competitor, and he wants to win. And I love people that want to just win. I love it.
It's funny because they talk about like the big 3 basketball thing, and like how the players know who the best basketball players are, and the coaches don't always. It's funny how your reaction to Pache, because it's like basically the organization moved on from him, but like you guys can see it. You guys know his talent level. So
it's just once he figures out in the box, he's going to be a top 10 player in the big leagues because he's that good in the outfield.
Yes.
Like the Braves brought him up early because they needed an outfielder.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, Michael Harris became Michael Harris.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
So,
yeah.
But like, once he figures the bat out, like, oof.
Yeah.
Because he's got stupid power too. Like, I can go on for days about like
he's still young. He's still in his early 20s. Like he's got so much left.
Yeah, sneaky.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, this was. I mean, yeah, we could talk all night. That's cool too. But we appreciate your time, and we appreciated your first year in the big leagues. Congratulations to you. It's a huge accomplishment, but you're not done. We can tell you're not done. You're just getting started. So we'll see when you got that Gold Glove sitting in your trophy case. That one mission accomplished for sure. But I'm personally proud of you. I'm proud when people ask me like, "Oh, you're wearing an Ace hat. Why?" It's like they stink. I'm like, no, they don't. And this is why, because we got someone we're rooting for, and it's fun to keep tabs on you and see how you're doing and see the good at bats and the bad at bats and know that you're. But it's part of the grind, and it's just fun having. I don't know anyone else who's going to make the major leagues, so it's fun having the experience with you, but then also seeing what you're doing and that you're still just a great person as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And to echo what Brandon said, like it's been an absolute pleasure getting to watch you grow and play throughout the years. Some of the things that I admire most about you is just your dedication, your willingness to just keep going no matter what obstacles are in your way. And then just the gratitude and the thankfulness, like always greeting people, always telling people how much you appreciate them coming out and supporting. Like that's something that's been like apparent since you got drafted. Taking the time out to talk to us today, and just like when you've been in the minor leagues as well. Getting the chance to spend a lot of time with you in 2018 after your games was such a treasure to me. Just the 10 minutes that we got, just catching up on life and talking about the game and talking about how you're improving. Like it's just, again, me and Brandon and our family, we're so incredibly proud of you. The Grant baseball community is incredibly proud of you. We are going to support you as long as you decide to do this. And then even after that, man, we love you as a person and as a player. And we're just, again, looking forward to all that you're going to do. And again, just so proud of you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on the show. And thanks for always showing support. That's huge. And love having people in my corner. And we got some more Ace fans now in the Midwest, and hopefully we can keep building that. And, wherever the A's are at in the next few years.
Here's the thing, right? We don't care. Just keep hitting dingers. We don't care where you're at. So
me either. But thank you guys. I appreciate y'all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Appreciate you too.
All right. Later, guys.